In the bottom left-hand side, our red Terran from Team Liquid, it is going to be Clem. As in the top right, our blue Protoss is Classic. Classic has been on quite the rise as of late. It's been cool to see him really peaking once again. As in the early rounds of the Kung Fu Cup here, it has just been kind of very fun to watch him playing. Clem is always fun to watch. It feels like Classic has been really starting to challenge at the top, so this, to me, is a fun series. And Clem, who, fares very similarly to Bjorn a lot of the time. Classic has kind of had Bjorn's number as of late a bunch. Not necessarily all the time, but like he trades a lot with Bjorn when Bjorn's been one of the best players on that Korean server. So it's been, it really kind of gets me excited for this series in particular. I think this could be very fun. Obviously very aggressive potentially as Classic. No idea about this engineering bay block. So as he comes down now, he's going to see it. This is quite late to see it. As the pro comes down, engineering bay is just there. And SCV decides to back away up through the top side. As our Cybercore continues into play from Classic. It's going to see that factory and so on the way from Clem too. As he will not expand straight away. And Classic will opt for the third base location. And I wonder if that is going to prompt Clem to play some Hellions. Because the moment you put this third base down, it's so much more difficult to defend. And then stuff like Hellions becomes so much more viable. So there's definitely going to be options there. As we get this ready to go. It'll be fun. Kind of intrigued to see where we go from this. Obviously, there's the factory to the reactor. Let's see if it is Hellions. He could go mines initially, but there's a CC, so not a starport straight away. I think Hellions on the cards, guys. It just kind of makes a lot of sense. As we get this going, the first two on the way out. Barracks is in place. Our first couple of Hellions pop in. Pylon up to the top side. Just going to be seeing our Stargate about halfway done here as well. These Hellions really are going to be nasty to defend. There's just such an openness to this base. You can't just wall it off like you would wall off the natural. And the depth on either side will get a shot as the Hellions begin to approach. That would be nice. A couple of Hellions just peeling away. We do see the couple of adepts just shading together. And here we go with 3 Hellions, soon to be 4. And that seems to be it. We are going to go into the Cyclone from there. Hellions come through. A couple of probes go down. Oracle and Adepts combine to chase this back. I mean, this is fine, though, for Clem, because your Hellions are still alive, 3 of them, which are still threatening. And you've kept the Oracle at home, you've kept the Adepts at home, so you're just doing whatever you want back on your other side. Hellions going to try and dive back up. That's just going to be the gateway going up in that wall off. Adepts is going to jump through. There's one Hellion. The Oracle activates, so now these units can get back on the map again. Yeah, we got a couple extra probes then. Well, 1 extra probe. We get 3 in total. And you still kept Classic busy. It wasn't like the crazy killer start Clem might have hoped for, but I wouldn't say it's a disappointing start or anything along those lines. Phoenix and the Oracle just chilling over on this side. Dev's going to come shading through. Marines and a Cyclone just going to be chilling here. Center gets walked in. Couple Phoenix in the Oracle heading down to the bottom. Getting ready to dive on in. Marines and our Cyclone just going to be chilling. Phoenix gets a little lift. Cyclone gets there. Phoenix does go down. We do see the Marines still gathering together. And in comes the Phoenix Oracle. Just going to dive on through straight away. 2, 3 SCVs, 4 SCVs already going down. Make it 5. Gonna make it 6, perhaps? Seven. Eight. Nice damage. I mean, this puts Clem in a bit of a weird spot, right? Definitely taking more damage than you should. And kind of puts the pressure on to do something on this other side. Get something out of this push. Punish Classic for utilizing his units over here. Marines coming forward, Pylon taking some hits. As our Marines come through, a couple of Zealots going down. We're going to see that Colossus coming in on the top right. Can do pretty well. Oracle, Phoenix, and TN take some shots. Couple of Medivacs still up in the sky. Oracle gets a revelation. Marines get chased. Couple of Medivacs still up in the sky. Couple of Widow Mines around the top. Clem just not really finding the pressure I thought he might need, considering the worker count he's lost. And he's still 14 workers behind, so definitely in that little bit of a rough spot right here. Phoenix getting a lift. Widow Mine goes down. Bio just spreading out on either side. As that Twilight Council continues in. Couple of Widow Mines going to burrow. Stalker's going to go fighting. That Widow Mine's going to die, man. It's just going to get picked off. Clem really not finding anything. Classic doing great defensively. Now, Classic is obviously not the best of armies. Like, Phoenix Colossus is very good. Double Forge, Twilight, on the way. He is starting to look into the future. And that's what I mean when I say his army, it's good, but it's not the best it can be, right? There's still progress to be made to you with the charge and the blink. And you probably don't want blink, but getting charge up and getting the upgrades going. As that Bio comes around this side, Classic just chilling out the front, and we do see a couple of Vikings, a couple of Racks, all coming in. Marines and Marauders still coming through, Charge and Prism on the way out. Forge is about to complete, and our Colossi firing. Widow Mine hits. That Phoenix up in the skies. Our Bio going to turn around, and the army does just have to back away. Still seeing that charge coming up. Just going to see our Bio Force coming all the way around the top. Oracle chilling on the bottom. Couple more mines. A few Marauders. Production and Clem stay stationed. One thing Clem really is doing, and this is in part because it's Phoenix Colossus, is he's really delaying a 4th base. The Phoenix Colossus doesn't want to venture too far forward, because in a more open space, it might get surrounded and punished quite hard. So, definitely kind of just waiting to see where that's going to lead us to, as our Bio comes around to the right. Just chilling. Just going to be seeing the gates, the Templar Archives, the Robo Facility all coming up. Still the 1-1 upgrades. Like I say, just keeping Classic on 3 bases, though, is definitely a big positive for Clem at the moment, as he spread out. He really looks like he might try and pincer into this army. Like, he's been split with 2 armies on either side for a while, but I guess that is just part of keeping him off a 4th base. Zealot's just going to warp in underneath this prism. A Widow Mine goes down. Zealot's just going to come charging through, and the Bio patting off over to this side as well. I'm going to see a few more of those Zealots dropping as the Phoenix chase. The Medivacs take hits. On the other side of the map, as Zealots, boom, big Widow Mine shot. Actually splashes the Vikings a little bit. Actually going to get another Widow Mine shot. Really does lower the HP of these Zealots. That could help to keep, kind of going with reinforcements. Or actually lose a Ghost straight away as a Classic. Doing decently there. His supply is waning just slightly, right? I mean, finally, we see Clem maybe on a bit more of a comfortable supply, and especially just that worker count being dead similar. Gotta love that as the Terran player. The only thing I think Clem really needs to step towards soon is perhaps thinking of dropping his own 4th base. Just because this 4th, the Protoss, is extremely late anyway, and there is the 4th command center. to fourth the process extremely late. Don't let that kind of, advantage be wasted, right? Make the most of that. Make use of it. As our army sits on the right-hand side, just going to be seeing the rest of this from Classic over to the left. So let's just coming over. I'm just going to dive on in. Rid of Marine straight away. Few zealots just continue up. T2 upgrades continuing. As our disruptors and Ablink continue the way through. A couple of batteries still on the way up as well. As our army of Clem works its way around the left-hand side here. Far side, disruptors, stalkers. All joining together as our Bioforce begins to move through the center. Pretty much at the point of being maxed, so this is the point where you might be more willing to take some of these fights. That was actually a pretty good split for Clem because he saved the ghosts. Only to let them kind of wander forward without dropping an EMP still. Those ghosts really were kind of just not doing much of anything. The Vikings, I think he was busy controlling, which have done well. They picked off a few of the Phoenix, but took some damage while doing so. Was it worth losing those couple of ghosts for? Because they felt very savable. As he actually do dive up here, so actually now Classic has to recall into position. Clem doesn't feel confident enough to just go diving through. His Vikings, I believe, have gone back home to get repaired, which I love. I think that's absolutely the correct call at the moment. Stalkers, Colossi, and Disruptors back down the right-hand side. Just seeing Clem still moving up toward top. Two upgrades still coming in. He dives that first Disruptor. He will just get away from the second, only taking a little bit of a clip on a Marauder or two, so not so bad. Results warping on the right side. That Prism is very close to that Widow Mine, which is not going to connect just yet. I mean, there's just a lot of Zealots all over the place, but when the Zealots run in like this, they just get massacred. Clem is on his way to 2-2. That will keep the upgrades fairly even. I think there'll be a slight timing advantage for Classic, but not much of one. Clem's just maxed out, and Classic supply is not really that hot. I wonder if this is just consequences of being very slow to his economy initially. Wow, those Disruptors really got some pretty good starts to that. The Planetary is being saved. It's not a Planetary yet, but it's morphing, and it's being kept alive. And as the Colossi die while the Disruptors are on cooldown, we recalled home just before. This was not the fight Classic was looking for. This was the fight Clem wanted, and like I say, Classic's supply was just never really that impressive. I don't know if that's just because it took him such a long time to get a fourth. He's not had the income or the rebuild potential that he's been looking for. I mean, resources loss is massively in favor of Clem. The trades he's been taking are amazing, but that fight specifically was just extremely good. I think Classic just lost like 2 sets of Zealot run-bys going into that fight, and then was like, cool, I'll fight with my main army anyway. So you just lost, what, like, say it was like 12, 13 Zealots? That's like 25 supply you just lost. And then you decide to take the fight anyways, even though it didn't really do much to, well, kind of disadvantage Clem. The only thing it did for you as Classic is it caused Clem to kind of have to run back over to the left side, but once he got there, his entire army was there. Obviously now Clem target firing the first couple Disruptors is just going to keep on fighting. He even has an EMP in the bank ready to utilize as there is a super battery currently active. I don't know how much longer this is going to last. Classic isn't even going to stick around. He's losing the bottom right 5th base attempt, and that's GG's as Clem takes game 1. A bit too much to hope for. Is that a little bit cheeky? Perhaps. As up 1 in the bottom right-hand corner. Our red Terran player, this is going to be from Team Liquid. It is Clem. Top left, our blue Protoss. It is Classic. Game 2 of our best of 3. Let's see what our second game brings us here as we start up on Grezvan. We'll wait to see what kind of builds we get. I mean, it was a fun start last time. The Hellions, that didn't really do much, but they weren't terrible. And then just kind of a little bit crazy in general, wasn't it? Just a little bit wild as we do have our probing. Continues around over to the right. SCV is fine, probes taking damage. We do have ourselves the Cybercore coming up from Classic before we expand. Obviously no engineering bay block or anything from Clem this time. Classic's expansion is free to take as he wishes, and he will do just that on the low ground. Getting that all started up. We'll see what sort of tech Classic's going to take us in this time around. Definitely some options as to where we go. Seeing our Adept continue to Chrono Boost out for the moment, continue to bring that in. Reaper hops up and hops down. The Adept there to meet it straight away. Just going to push that back. Stargate continuing through as we have ourselves the Reaper hopping back to the high ground. Again, just doing some scouting with the Stargate. We're probably expecting to see probably just Oracle into Phoenix again. If I had to guess, maybe you could just go straight Phoenix as well. Who drops a grenade? Just going to be seeing our Rogue taking some shots. Adept coming around. Okay, it's still coming through. Starport coming online. And yeah, we are just going to get ourselves straight into those Phoenix this time. I think when the Stargate's being seen as well, straight to Phoenix is absolutely a very viable choice, so makes a lot of sense just to get straight toward that. Robot facility gonna pop in a couple moments, and again, just seeing that Cyclone continue now as our few Marines continue in. Barracks coming up. Reaper and the Hellion chilling. The Phoenix overhead, and just gonna be seeing a couple of Adepts coming around. Both barracks still just on the way in. Oh, a couple of racks still coming up. Robo facility just going to be finishing. And straight to the Robo Bay. Again, expected when you're playing this Phoenix Colossus style. I definitely expect that to be kind of the way we take things here. So no surprises on that one as that Phoenix lift up. Going to grab an SCV. Robo Bay. Taking along then. Well, obviously one thing Clem can do perhaps is try and delay the third a little. When you're playing this Phoenix Colossus style, it's yeah, when you're playing this kind of third Phoenix Colossus style, the third base comes down a bit later because you just don't have the unit count to really hold a third base straight away. A couple of Adepts continue through Stim combat +1. All of that's just continuing to produce here as our couple medevacs will be on the field shortly. And that will allow us to go across to the other side of the map. Get a little bit aggressive in these next few moments. Of course, these Phoenix are going to be lurking. If they can find any reinforcements straggling behind or even just a chance to dive a mineral line for free, they will take it. The one Phoenix here just kind of spotting and sees the medevac, but the units are nearby, and the Cyclone lock-on will kill if you just keep vision. Oh, very close. Very close. The Phoenix back into this main base. Chilling out over here. Stim, combat +1, all of that continuing through. We'll go back around the left side and just seeing our bio all the way up north. A big push around this top side as Phoenix just going to be hanging out with the rest, and a few units are going to begin to press forward. A few Marines going to grab a probe straight away. Pylon already in a little bit of trouble. Sentry is going to pop up a Guardian Shield, and we're going to turn and take this fight, at least knock down the Phoenix that's lifted up the Cyclone. This time I don't think he saved that Cyclone, but yeah, I don't think there's much else Clem can really do here. One Colossus is pretty powerful in this state, and that's what you're kind of waiting on to get the third base going, right? You need that Colossus just to get up and rolling, and once it's there, you're in a much better position. And that's kind of just what happens here as our bio units come around the top from Clem. It's going to grab a Widow Mine or so. Just going to be seeing a couple of additional Zealots warping in. Pylon gets knocked down. Classic supply blocked off of that. Just for a few moments. Not the biggest of deals. I would say in general it's been a much more normal, regular start this time around, right? It's been a little bit more chilled out. I'm just going to get a little bit of a pickup. As our Phoenix get rid of one medevac. Looking for number 2. We're not quite going to find it. A Bioforce coming out. And again, those Phoenix just getting deflected, getting pushed away. There's a Widow Mine. Bit of a random time for the mine drop as well. Cannot really blame Classic for missing that. And, you know, the connection going off without any response from our Protoss player. Widow Mine's burrow up, 3 probes going down. This time we get one more worker at the very end. So, I mean, if nothing else, you're keeping the Phoenix back, which takes some of the attention of Classic away, and now you can position more easily on the map. Classic going to try and keep up with the information here. Widow Mine in the main, still going to get going again. As apparently there's no observer. That Widow Mine gets a couple more kills, and it's just adding up over time, isn't it? Carriers are still coming through. In fact, we did start carriers. We decided to go into more Phoenix with the Phoenix range, so he makes a choice. He decides, nope, that ain't it for me. Let's go for a bit of a different route here. Medevac's unloading, bio gathering. A couple more Marauders coming through. Ghost Academy coming up. Let's do attack on the way. A couple more refineries coming in. Vikings on the way out as well. This Bioforce is going to go grab a sentry. Can we stop this 4th base getting online? This would be amazing, right? I mean, we talked about the last game. One of the things that Clem did very well was getting rid of the 4th base. Not even getting rid of. He didn't really kill it off or cancel it. He just never let it go down. This time, this one was pretty much good to go. Gets rid of it, forces it to restart. That's massive as the Widow Mine goes off with some Phoenix damage as well. Gathering back on the left-hand side. Clem's force on the bottom. Still rallying. He wants to push this position. As more and more Phoenix get here, he has to be careful not to A throw his Vikings away too haphazardly. Drops like this are very scary, and you can see the Observer just had vision of that. The edge of that Observer range, seeing that lift up, is massive amounts of information. He's going to be able to make use of that straight away. Phoenix are going to come across, and hello, how you doing? 1 medevac, 2 medevacs go down. And yeah, Clem trying to make a pretty hefty dive is not going to go too well for him at all in the end, is it? Marauder's going to get knocked down, so they're about to get picked off. We will just see our Vikings coming through, chasing down these Phoenix. Couple Zealots are going to be picked away at as well. 1 Zealot going down, the Phoenix coming through, Viking getting hit. Phoenix back into the middle of the map. The Marines coming over, Phoenix still just getting chased away. Now we're just going to be having them jumping straight in towards these couple of Vikings again. Job well done. Just doing a little bit more of this damage, and the Vikings will continue to chase too. The couple of Ghosts. They could drop an EMP on these Phoenixes to take the shields off, give the Vikings an easier time clearing them out. Would be incredible, but the Ghosts just haven't gone close enough, and I think I mentioned at some point, keeping your Vikings safe, right? Well, this ain't that at all. Clem is bleeding units at the moment. Now, he has fantastic upgrades. However, upgrades may not matter with the army compositions we're ending up on. As carriers come into play, it's going to become tougher and tougher for Clem to kind of just sit here with kind of good buy upgrades and be like, yeah, this is going to be awesome. Because it really ain't going to be awesome. Carriers are awesome to play as the Protoss in this situation. They're very hard to deal with as the Terran, especially without a good Viking count. And we just reset the Viking count. That is, of course, a big part of the problem. 3 Vikings down through the south. Marines, a few Ghosts, a couple Marauders coming across. Army sets up, a couple probes already going down. Our Colossi carriers started to get some shots off. EMP is dropping. Immortal's taking a lot of heavy hits right there as the Bioforce does turn back around, just going to come back up. Disrupt shot fires, isn't going to land. I'm just going to be seeing 1 medevac loading up. That same Observer is going to spot the drop again, by the way. At some point, Clem has to realize, like, hey, how come I keep loading up over here? And, like, he just knows where I am every time. As Clem's supply is still very competitive, though. I mean, for a game where I feel like it's honestly been pretty good for Classic, he's traded extremely well. Clem's supply is impressive. And Classic really did trade well, by the way. 3k resources better off for him. Compared to that last game where resources lost was so bad for Classic. It's been such a different game all the way throughout. As come over here, Vikings just not in good enough numbers. We're building 4 at a time, but we've just got a ways to go to really chew through carriers at any sort of speed that's going to be, reliable. Clem adds, 2 more starports, so we're going to a point where we can build so many Vikings at the same time. He realizes that reproducing Vikings is likely going to be important. Even some medevacs right now. I mean, we are currently working with just 3 medevacs, and Marines that were hurt off Colossi shots just previously are still not really healed up, which obviously does not bode well for any future shots they might take. The Vikings gather, Bio Ghost, come around the center. Start a push up. MP goes down. Cannon fires, just going to be seeing the scan again, just keeping an eye on things. Come back around into the center here, just going to start pushing up, pressing in. Vikings, whoa, that was cute, right? He went for the assimilator first to get the interceptors out before the Vikings approached. That was actually a pretty cute play from Classic. We're just going to stim here though as Clem, and he actually has the DPS. If nothing's hitting him, the DPS on these interceptors alone is great. So then you're kind of nullifying the supply that's provided or set up into these carriers. We can just stay away from the Colossi, which we're kind of doing. The Vikings move forward. They're going to get rid of one Colossus. I mean, again, the carriers right now are not scary because there's no interceptors. No interceptors really just mean they're kind of just chunks of supply that don't really provide anything to the game. Well, that kind of shows what Clem can do with this army. Now, Classic's actually going to start moving forward. A big part of why Clem could do that was the positioning. The fact that the Colossi had to kind of come down the ledge or so, and they weren't able to reach across. Clem was able to essentially separate the carriers from the rest of the army, which went a long way for him. Rebuilding those 6 Vikings at a time. We mentioned those extra starports. They are being put to use right here. Interceptor cannon is pretty much good to go. If we can get rid of a Colossus ahead of this would be amazing. Any splash damage you get rid of, give your Bio the best possible chance. The Phoenix are just not in good enough numbers to really fight against these Vikings either. They are just bleeding out, and we're rebuilding them too, so these really are just gifted units. The Interceptors are going to launch. The Vikings will start to take some losses. Clem obviously isn't super comfortable in terms of turning around and fighting. He would be pushing back through a choke into those disruptor shots, which is obviously scary with the Bio. A lot of low HP Vikings. We have been working through the Phoenix once again, so we're at least getting trades as we kite out of this. Missile turrets from here and there. I mean, we're building 5 Phoenix at a time versus 7 Vikings at a time, and that is the trade-out that's going on, right? We are continuously just losing Vikings versus Phoenix. There's one Colossus still on the mix here as well, so that will be intriguing to see if it can make some kind of impact. Our army of Classic still moving through. Nice Viking Bioforce still around the edges. First EMP. Oh, it's a massive EMP! Well, that's going to help out as the Phoenix are still going to take a lot of the damage initially, though, so they're still doing a lot of the tanking they need to. Now the Vikings were kind of, I think, deciding to try and go for the carriers. Oh my god, those disruptors! He gets rid of them all! You're kidding me, Clem. Well, I'm not sure if that's necessarily going to be great for him still. I don't know if it's going to be enough. The fact he got rid of the disruptors was incredible. I just don't think he has enough at the end of this, especially with reinforcing Phoenix showing up. What a ridiculous final fight here in game number 2, as Clem just kind of gets, in a way, it almost looks like he gets rolled over, but boy, it could have been even worse. He saved himself from the middle, but the start of the fight was very bad for Clem. He got pushed and, was forced to engage in a position that just didn't work for him in the slightest. Bottom left, a Red Terran play here from Team Liquid. It is Clem taking on the Blue Protoss. Top right-hand corner, it's Classic. Game 3 of our series. Alright. Comes down to this then between these two. Classic and Clem. Who gets to go through into the round of 8 against Showtime? Showtime's been performing well in these Kung Fu Cups, picking up points pretty much every week. As he goes, sells the Engineering Bay blockage once again, so Clem going to go back to what worked for him in that first game. I wouldn't say that first game was like so amazing of a start for Clem, but it is nice. If you get an Engineering Bay block off and Classic is not respecting that or looking for it, and it really does get blocked for the most amount of time, your realistic option becomes to go kind of to the third base location, and then Clem obviously feels a lot better if that's the case, because then there's so much more potential for him to create damage and to find good fights and all that kind of stuff. Definitely expecting that to be a bit of a factor here. Very soon, as we do have our pylon just coming in, our Engineering Bay getting online. Probe comes over, SCV gets chased, Zealot comes back along. So that Zealot gonna go swiping and dicing on the Engineering Bay. Factory just finishes up, reactor about to finish up on the barracks. Stargate, the choice once again. I don't think that is a fault or anything, right? I think going into the same sort of style. I mean, it's working for Classic. I don't think the style itself is putting him in bad spots or anything. In fact, obviously put him in a great spot in that last game. If that's what you're comfortable with, it's also the kind of style which I personally believe is extremely good against someone like Clem, Bjorn, these players that like to be just much more aggressive and on the map as early as possible and as often as possible. You just can't do that reliably against, a Phoenix Colossus style. Zealot and the Adept are doing very well. I think Clem kind of messed up and he doesn't lose an SCV, right? He loses one SCV. He lost a lot of Marines, though. I think he kind of messed up, kind of being so far forward with the Marines at first. And he was a little unlucky not to get the depot raised to kind of block some of those Adepts out, so a little bit wild as our Cyclone of Clem goes off up to the northern side of the map. Cyclone gets a cheeky little lock on, Adept taking some damage. Phoenix, you can lift up the Cyclone, though. Thank you very much. Take him out the equation, as our Adept just still going to be chilling here. Putting some extra damage out, a few Marines coming over. Cyclone gets a lock on onto that battery for just a moment or two, nothing too crazy. The Marines and the Cyclone locking on again, and the Adept still taking some damage. Actually going to get a lift up. Phoenix going to go and pick away at the Cyclone. Cyclone taking quite a lot of shots. I mean, now Clem gets an extra Cyclone here, and the Phoenix don't have much lift energy left. Battery's going to save this Adept. Locks on again, that's a kill. I just don't know if there's much else we can do. Maybe we work our way through the battery, but I think we're kind of just done with this push. And Immortal being chrono boosted. Maybe if Clem has reinforcements, there's enough power here to do something, but I'm not sure what that's something real. Like, I think you've got to start by taking out the battery, because otherwise the super battery is going to save anything you try and fight on the natural. So if you start by killing off the battery, then maybe there is some hope to kind of do something more. He's going to drop the lock-on onto the Phoenix, which are going to chase, then turns back around. Like I say, the Immortal now here kind of feels like it's time to maybe just chill out with this entire force as Clem. Maybe time to kind of look into other options. Green Cyclones still just coming through the center and seeing what we can do. But not really, like I say, too much left available at this stage. As we have our Phoenix. I'm going to come in forward one more time. Immortal comes back in. Going to be seeing the other Cyclone showing up. Cyclone locks on again. He's going to go after the Immortal 2. Marine's going to turn around. Zealot will also get picked off here, so just going to knock that one out. Still seeing our Marines and Cyclones going back around to the center. Immortal Stalkers press on forward. The army of Clem continues to move down south. It's like Bonchik, a lock on onto an Immortal. Just gonna grab ourselves a probe. Tank gets siege. I mean, Clem's obviously been very committed to this aggression the entire time. You have to be very confident here that you can keep the units away from the tank, because if the Immortals get on top of the tank, it's just going to melt. He's going to dive, but by coming forward, you're obviously out of range of the battery, so maybe that's what Clem was hoping to kind of take advantage of. He's starting to make a bit of a getaway. Phoenix are, well, taking losses as they try to lift up and slow down this retreat. Order goes down, combat shield still coming up, and we do see this entire fight just going to be done for. 600 resources lost, favoring Classic. So that's a pretty hefty setup, right? I mean, you lost an Immortal, but you killed off a tank. You got rid of all of the Cyclones, which, you know, have kind of been annoying up until now. So nice to kind of knock those out the way. Tank will siege. Bio units still moving forward. Starport about to finish. Extra missile turrets coming up. +1 and concussive shells still coming through. Probe around the left-hand side. You see the plus eye, like I said, just still joined back up at home, and we wait to see whether or not that can have perhaps a big impact here in the near future. Being still up overhead, and again the +1 attack upgrade, concussive shells all being built up at the moment. We do see 2 additional barracks building from Clem, so bringing all of those out. As the Phoenix going to continue to dive over the left-hand side. A single Marine comes stemming up, going to go after a pylon as well. Phoenix come through. A few of these SCVs already dropping down. 3, 4 workers all getting dropped, actually. And we are going to be seeing a couple missile turret shots going. Picking away at those Phoenix. And shoving those off over to the side. Phoenix here, just gonna get there, and the Phoenix taking a lot of damage again. Lock-ons are good to keep those Phoenix pushed back. All of them going down. Then back over, gonna knock down this pylon, but this was nice for Clem. I mean, reducing the Phoenix count, take away some of the utility that Classic is trying to work with during this. Bio comes up, pylon will fall. It's going to get knocked down immediately. 7 more zealots on the way. Charge also still coming up. He needs that charge to really kind of reach the next stage. There's only 3 Phoenix. They're going to recall. Clem was actually hunting, but yeah, he got some shots off. I was going to say I'd rather have looked at where the Phoenix were, just because I feel like there was potential for one to be killed. But I guess looking to see where they're recalling to could be fun as well. See if all 3 of them come home. He very nearly got a kill, so the effort to chase him back was very nearly worth it. As Classic is double nexusing, guys, so he is taking a nexus on the backside of a gold. So double expand, backside of a gold coming up. If Classic can get away with this, then brilliant. But once again, it's that situation of quite a late 4th base for Classic. That was an issue a little earlier on as well, so a couple of things to be watching for. Couple Vikings firing. Bio will start to move up. Just seeing our Colossi firing away. Couple Marauders going down. 8 SCVs going down. $15 SCVs being picked up, as we are just going to see this continue to come through. Guys, I'm just going to take a phone call real quickly. BRB, 1 sec. Sorry guys, as we come back to this, We are going to be seeing our Zealots just continue to come through. Bioforce still pushing up. Couple Marines coming in. Zealots will go charging forward. A couple Marines getting picked away at there as Medivacs still just chilling out. As we do have +2 attack, +1 armor. Blink on the way. That's the dumbest phone call. They're like, hey, your delivery is coming. I'm like, okay, cool. And they're like, so I'm just here to let you know everything's going to be okay. Your delivery will arrive tomorrow. I'm like, great. Bye. Leave me alone. I don't care what you're about to try and sell me extra. Leave me alone. Sorry about that, guys. It was a local number. I just wanted to answer in case my solicitor or something about some stuff we're getting sorted, so. Apologies. It was not. It's like I say, probably not a phone call I would have answered if I knew who it was. My bad. Alright, didn't miss much, obviously. Well, you guys got to see at least what was going on. Not too much of anything. As our Bioforce comes around, just going to be seeing our Disruptors, Colossi, Stalkers, all pushing down the right side. Just going to see our scan coming through. Our Vikings setting up. Zealots will begin to work their way into this side of the map as they were beginning to knock down the rocks. Clem is actually going to have a chunky supply of units here. I think he was probably very tempted to stim after those Zealots right there and maybe try and make a fight of that. But maxed out on both sides of the map. Classic has got a bit more of a bank available to him. Look at the unit counts. At 6 Disruptors, 3 Colossi. Not very many Phoenix, notably different from the earlier games. 12 Vikings, 8 Ghosts. I mean, Clem's army is good. I like Clem's army a lot. But you can't not like Classic's army. The only part I don't like Classic's army is, well, the lack of Phoenix, really. Classic loses 1 base. I don't think bases are his immediate issue, but this is an issue as the Phoenix will give themselves up to save the second Colossus. 1 Colossus fell, the other super low HP. Eye on the top, couple probes going down, pylons as well. All these pylons getting dropped here and still seeing Classic. Still working around on the right side. Probably just going to come through, just going to go after the wall gate. It's going to be seeing our 3-3 upgrades continuing through. So Classic is looking to kind of stay in the lead in upgrades in general. Clem's own 2-2 on the way. I tell you what Classic has done. Classic has a lot of the map, like a lot of bases on this right side that I feel like Clem is very unaware of, right? Like these bases here, especially this gold on the wrong side, is just something that Clem's had no idea about. And that's where I think Classic's going to start really taking control of this game, because if Clem plays around the idea that he's just... I mean, Classic's building 4 bases right now. That's how much money he's got off that gold base. Couple of Ghosts going to snipe away. A couple of Zealots already going down. Stalkers coming through. Bio going to turn around. Zealots are going to be continuing to charge up this ramp. Bio will continue to kite backward. Another couple Disruptors. Connect on just a little bit Marine Marauder. A Ghost here. It's going to sit out the front. In fact, that Ghost gets to still survive. Clem has a bit of a nasty surround coming in on Classic's army. More Disruptor shots coming through. Another Marine and Marauder going down. We still see the Disruptor still trying to come forwards. Bioforce will fire up. Vikings still in the sky. They've done everything they need to do. It's really just, oh my god! A question of getting to these Disruptors, but that's a Disruptor shot you don't want to be taking. And now does Clem have enough to keep going with some reinforcing Zealots? It's going to make this difficult. The Zealots will go down. It gives Classic a chance to push Clem back, though. 12 Zealots, 4 Disruptors, all coming through. Ghosts, Marines, Medivacs coming out. More Stalkers coming through, extra Disruptors producing. Bio going to scope this right side. That's a dead Prism. No! The Prism gets to live. That's so frustrating for Clem. A couple of Disruptors inside that one do not go down, as we will just get away then. He is going to have a little force in the upper left as well. He actually needs to stim to get out of this one, but he stims so heavily. I think Classic supply is looking very good right now, guys. This is looking very rough for Clem, in fact. As we continue to run, we continue to get away. Bio comes up. First Disruptor goes down. Second Disruptor going to drop. Zealots and our Stalkers and our Disruptors all continue to chase the, well, supply of Clem is not looking super pretty as, boom, go this Planetary Fortress. Disruptor shots continue to fire in and just going to be seeing, well, I mean, Clem's supply is just not there. I think, honestly, Classic's winning move in this game was genuinely, like, the gold base on the other side. Like, these bases Clem just has no idea 1 base, 2 base, 3 bases he has no idea exist on the map. And when Clem taps out of this, you're probably going to be like, man, how have you had just so much money this entire time? Well, those are the reasons why. Those are the reasons he has just been not able to be competitive, quite frankly, in the last little while at all. So, yeah, that's going to be rough, as you just see. I mean, CC going down, Stalkers and Disruptors continuing down the bottom left. And knock down the pylon. I mean, the counterattack is nice from Clem. If there's a way to win this, base trading might be it. And it's definitely one of the ways you can do something with this. Classic doesn't know what to do with that Disruptor shot. There's a couple more Marines come through. Probe, Stalkers continue to take shots. Another Disruptor shot coming in. Stalkers just blinking on top. Nexus will go down. Now we're going to go diving for this pylon. Pylon goes down. Nexus on the right side. I'm just going to be seeing, well, I mean, like I say, Clem has to win out in a base trade, which is not really likely. I feel like you've got enough of an advantage going into this at this moment in time. It's going to be seen our Disruptors continuing through. Like I say, I mean, Clem's doing the right thing. He's making him, giving himself an absolute possibility, giving himself a chance. Emperor is still firing up a storm, just getting rid of these Zealots. Disruptors taking damage. SCVs are going to find a base over here. One of the things that Clem's fighting against is the fact that Classic just has bases all over the map. Never mind the fact that at this point Classic also has a 60 army supply lead. Stalker still pinging on the orbital. A little bit of an EMP, a couple of Disruptors getting caught, some Stalkers as well. Classic is obviously still in an extremely comfortable spot here. This game is truly on the verge of being done, if I do say so myself. Clem is, like, flying bases around. He's like, oh, there's a base over here. I kind of really want Clem to just find the base and the gold as well, because, man, like, he probably thinks some of these bases have been, like, set up during the base trade, when that's obviously not the case at all. What's actually happened is that these bases have been up, and the entire time. I honestly feel like if Clem jumps into the replay when this one ends, he's going to be like, oh my goodness, I just had such a misread on so much of this. At this point, Classic doesn't need to do anything fancy. Blink on top, chase, just guarantee shots on these units. As Clem is going to type out GG, and like I say, I do honestly feel like he's going to be shocked when he sees how long Classic's had those bases.